For too long now, people have viewed capos as a crutch, but today we use them as a weapon of transposition. So we're going to go through everything you really wanted to ever know about changing keys with the capo. But first we have to talk about actually chords as groups together, because then we can actually put them under the capo. It'll make a lot more sense. So if you've ever been confused why people always play capo on the 3rd fret, capo on the 5th fret, if you've played any capo past the 7th fret, there's better ways to do it, guys, for sure. So the whole reason you want to use a capo is because you want to use particular chords in different keys. All right, what I mean by that is there's just something about the chords in the key of C, right? Besides being the first chords that you learn on a guitar, if you learn them as a group instead of just like random letters with a minor after it or a 7 after it, they make a lot more sense, right? So the chords in the key of C are like this: C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, and A minor. Technically, we also have a B half diminished chord, but there's really 6 main chords that get used for songs. If you can learn those 6 chords, and then you have a capo, you can play pretty much any song out there, all right? So the way to explain this best and talk about the strengths of different keys and different chord shapes is to number these first, all right? So real quick, so C is 1, D is 2, D minor is 2, E minor is 3, F is 4, G is 5, A minor is 6. Okay, so it's just like the alphabet starting on C. C, D, E, F, G, A, and then B would be 7, okay? Now, if you pair that with 1 or 2 different keys, then you become a power capo user, all right? So we haven't even gotten to the capo yet, but really quick, let's just go over 2 other keys. The other 2 most common guitar keys are the key of G and the key of D. Okay, so we're going to learn 3 different keys and their collections of chords and talk about why you want to intentionally use a capo instead of just moving it around until it feels right, okay? So in the key of G, 1 chord is G, 2 chord is A minor, 3 chord is B minor, 4 chord is C major, 5 chord is D major, 6 chord is E minor. Now, one reason you might really want to gravitate towards the chords in the key of G is because you can do that cool Wonderwall trick where you just plant your pinky and your ring finger on the 3rd fret of the highest strings and then just kind of run through all the chords like this: G, A, B, C, D, E, right? Like that. And then you kind of just keep it there. So you can do this in any key once you think of where your 1 chord is, being G, all right? The 3rd key we're going to go over really quickly is going to be the key of D, D major, all right? And even though D is a chord in the key of G, when D is its own key, when it's the parent key, then you get more of like a James Taylor type sound. He's somebody that uses a capo and his key of D chords and tricks to move all over the place. So now D is the 1 chord, E minor is the 2 chord, F sharp minor or F sharp minor 7. There's easier ways to do this, so don't get scared by the F sharp minor, but a lot of people check out when they see this. 1 chord, E minor 2, F sharp minor 3, G major 4, A major 5, B minor 6, and then like I said, C sharp half diminished, which you're probably never going to use, and then back to D, okay? So a trick in D is that little kind of like that little suspended chord trick. So again, it's all about finding the right group of chords in which key that you feel the most comfortable in, and then using a capo to really do it right, okay? So this video is sponsored by Black Mountain Capos, or Black Mountain Picks. They have a capo, and it's actually kind of the cleanest one out there, so check it out. It's just like anything else. You just wrap it around the fret. We're gonna go to the 3rd fret, and then you just screw it on the back, okay? And it's got, just like anything else, it's got like a rubber bar here that just holds everything down. And now we have capo on the 3rd fret. I think it's the cleanest look of any capo I've ever seen, so check it out. I'll have a link in the description if you guys are interested. But my favorite capo right now. So, 3rd fret. Why are we putting it on the 3rd fret? All right. Well, let's use our key of C chords, just capo on the 3rd fret. So now I'm thinking of a C major shape. And this is really the advantage the guitar players have that most other instruments don't have, is we play with shapes. So even though I'm thinking in my brain, C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, C, I'm actually playing all the chords in the key of E flat, all right? You may not know any of the chords in E flat because they're generally bar chords on a guitar, which makes them a lot more difficult to play. So the beautiful thing about just having a capo on the 3rd fret is we just take everything and we move it up 3 frets. So instead of the key of C, we go to the key C sharp, D, D sharp, or E flat. So 3 frets higher, we're getting up into E flat's group of chords. But we can still use all the cool, like maybe hammer-on tricks. But now, essentially, we're doing that in E flat, okay? Now, you can use the same thing with everything else. So let's say we do the key of G stuff. Remember where you keep your pinky and your ring finger just planted on the high B and E strings? So now my key of G shapes. But you'll see that now I'm rooted on what's actually the 6th fret of the E string. That's why if you just kind of memorize just the names of the notes along one string, you can really do any of this stuff and really know what key you're in. But we're 3 frets higher than G, so G sharp, A sharp, or B flat. So now you're playing all the chords in the key of B flat, but you don't have to worry about where the flats are and where everything else is because we're just using our key of G shapes. Same with D major, okay? So we can go through those cool little like... But now we're 3 frets higher than D, okay? So D sharp, E, F. So this is actually, these are chords in the key of F. All right, now let's kind of, the reason that you'll see Capo 3 be so popular is because those keys are just slightly off of something that maybe like you really are interested in, right? Like remember we said when you use your key of G shapes, you're really playing in B flat. Well, that's really close. That's just a step away from the key of C, right? Like sometimes you'll be playing your C major chords in here and you're like, oh, this is just like a little too high. I wish I could sing with this and have it be a little lower. So maybe you tune your guitar down a step. And if you tune your guitar down a step, then your key of C shapes is actually a B flat. So a capo is really just kind of the opposite of tuning your guitar down. But if you're in a pinch and you don't want to spend, time retuning everything, if you don't have a guitar as nice as the Sean Daniels signature Martin guitar right here, available only at Sweetwater, then maybe you actually just want to put the capo on the 3rd fret and then use your key of G chords, and it's the same as using your key of C chords tuned down a step. All right, so again, what we can do now is we can move it into another key, but this is great. So Capo 3 really just turns C major into E flat, it turns G into B flat, and it turns D into F, okay? And then we can go even a little higher. And this is a great example of Capo on 5, right? This is where using a capo can become more of a stylistic choice instead of a crutch, okay? So when I play the key of G chords on the 5th fret, right? G major, A minor, B minor, C major, D, E, G. Okay, well where have I gone now? So I've actually gone 5 frets higher than G. Okay, so G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C. So actually I'm playing in the key of C, but now I'm able to use maybe some of my, G major. Like if I'm playing a G major, D, C, with these on here, this is essentially a 1, 5, 4 in the key of G, right? G, A, B, C, D would be 5, and 4 would be C. G, D, C. And you get those cool, like especially on an acoustic guitar, there's something just really great about those G major and D major chord voicings, where you can kind of get those, and especially that C shape add 9. But really, it's just C. Plus the 5 of C is a G, and then the 4 of C is an F. This is really just C major, G major, F. In fact, if you can kind of keep that, let's add one more. Let's go 1, 5, 6, 4. So my G shape, my D shape, E minor, C. 1, 5, 6, 4. And remember how that sounds, okay? And then let's take the capo completely off. All you just do is screw this here, and then it pops off. We can actually do that same thing, 1, 5, 6, 4, and C. Remember how it sounded? Now, 1, 5, 6, 4. So, exact same chords, but in a different register on a guitar. Maybe you want to use that, like I said, because you want to use your little key of G tricks, stuff like that. Maybe you also want to use that to get out of the way of like a bass guitar or another guitar that's playing the same thing. There's a lot of reasons that you might want to use a different group of chord shapes, even if you know where all the chords are. Like I said, even E flat. Like E flat isn't the trickiest key in the world, but now we have to start going like, okay, so here's my 1 chord, here's my 2 chord, here's my 3 chord, here's my 4 chord, so on and so forth, right? And that's so much more difficult than just slapping a capo on the 3rd fret and then playing your key of C chords. So it's really great, just great practice to think about numbering your chord progressions and then choosing which fret you put the capo on from a position of power. You know what I mean? Because if you're just like, oh, I'm just going to move it around here, and then maybe it'll sound better, maybe it'll sound better. No, come on. Really just get good at a couple keys, and then, you know, find your voice and your identity on the guitar. And then I think your playing is going to be a lot better just because you're going to be so much more confident. Be like, okay, cool. Like, I want to do a little Wonderwall thing, but, you know, I'll use my key of G chords, I'll slap it on the 4th fret, and then I'm actually playing in the key of B. Right? Or I just want to do maybe like a little James Taylor thing, but I want to play it higher. I'm going to do it, you know, a capo key, capo 6 or something like that. But the higher up the fret that you get, not that you can't put a capo like on the 8th fret or something like that, but once you put it here, it's like now you're kind of getting close to, if your guitar doesn't have a cutaway, you're running out of room. It's so much easier just to go back a little bit and then use a different group of chords, because eventually you want to learn all the chords anyway. But capos are a great, not crutch, a great, what do I call it? A weapon of transposition. The new official rolling into 2026 with weapons of transposition. And Black Mountain definitely makes, like I said, I think it's just like the best looking one. And super high quality. So thank you to them. Like I said, I'll have a link in the description if you guys are interested. They also make awesome like picks and like thumb picks and stuff like that too. So I'll link you to all that stuff. If you have any questions or comments, let me know in the comment section or the website, and I'll talk to y'all soon. Thanks a lot.